You know, review bombing seems to be in the news a lot recently, although thankfully not as often as loot boxes. This week it's back again though, as Valve tried to clean up the user reviews on the PC gaming service Steam.
You could say they're trying to stop people blowing off Steam in the reviews, man. Steam has been hit with multiple cases of negative review bombings in 2017. GTA 5, Crusader Kings 2, PlayerUnknown Battlegrounds, Firewatch and Dota 2 were all among the games review bombed at some point this year. Review bombing is of course the phenomenon of large groups of users banding together to negatively review a game because of some shit that's happened. Sometimes it's Take-Two suddenly clamping down on GTA mods out of the blue. Sometimes it's PewDiePie using the N-word. Well, despite the fact it can end up getting gamers the results they want, Steam owner Valve is sick of it happening, it seems, and the company started taking steps to stop it.
Currently, the Steam user review system highlights and tracks helpful and unhelpful reviews based on how other users actually vote for them. The system allows users to decide whether a review was helpful to them, it was unhelpful and presumably misleading, or even if they found the review actually to be funny. But the system is not without its problems, as Valve recently commented, quote, "Of the 11 million people that have used the helpful buttons, we've found a small set of users on the far extreme that are clearly trying to accomplish something quite different from normal players and are rating more than 10,000 reviews as helpful or unhelpful on a single game. This behavior is not only humanly impossible, but definitely not a thoughtful indication of how helpful each of those reviews were."
To combat the problem, Steam's system will now implement statistical algorithms to seek out the trolls. Valve said, quote, "Our system will use a new method of calculating the helpfulness of each review, taking into account the users that are trying to manipulate the system. Ratings from users that follow normal patterns of rating will continue to be counted the same way, whereas accounts that rate an excessive number of reviews on an individual game will see the weight of each individual rating count for less and less, meaning that the more ratings the dodgy accounts give out, the less those ratings will actually carry weight in the Valve's algorithm. What's more, Steam store pages will now show a proportionate number of good and bad reviews based on the overall review score of each game, which means if it's a game that is, say, 80% positive, then 8 out of the top 10 reviews will be positive as well.
Valve's clearly concerned about this because they are actually doing stuff. They are trying to fix this and they're thinking about it and they are coming up with new systems and algorithms and whatever to sort it out. Valve usually do well, so they obviously are worried about this and they think it could be a problem. I think 10,000 user review or votes on user reviews obviously is problematic, so they want to sort that out, and who knows where that's coming from or what people are trying to do.
So they're clamping down on bots and scripts and that kind of thing, the people that are not physically doing it themselves. This might seem like they're clamping down on review bombings, but they're not technically. Yeah. They're just clamping down on abusing the review bombs. You can still technically downvote as many as you want. I mean, how many do you physically do anyway? If you're review bombing, like, so long as one person reviews it negatively, then that should still be fine.
And also in the news, 2015 Best Game Ever candidate Bloodborne is back in the headlines. Players of the clearly older, moodier, more emotionally complicated goth cousin to From Software's Dark Souls have found a new monster in the game. That's almost 3 years after the game's initial release.
Just a minute, mate. You wrote that last line, didn't you?
What? The
older, moodier, more emotionally complicated goth cousin.
I thought that was a bit. I thought you were going to say the best game ever candidate. That's surely going to be the most. Yes, I did.
You wrote all that, Mike.
The Flaming Undead Giant was first seen in footage of the game at PlayStation Experience back in 2014, and members of the Reddit Tomb Prospectors group have finally found the monster in the game after one of the group's signature dungeon search sprees. User Morris Nix acknowledged that the rare Flaming Undead Giant might have been discovered before and simply remained unreported. Many hunters may see something odd, Morris Nix said, and then just dismiss it because they thought it's normal. Talking about the find specifically, he said, quote, "This will have a significant impact on the community's perception on what could still possibly be hidden in the depths of the tombs beneath Yharnam, so light your torch and keep hunting." For those who might know what this means, the glyph seed to find the Flaming Undead Giant in Bloodborne's Chalice Dungeons, by the way, is PA6 SSC6U. It'll be on your screens right now if you want to check it out for yourselves.
Will you be checking this out, Mike?
Yeah, well, I'm already replaying it. I've replayed it multiple times. Bloodborne's one of the best games ever. I don't know if I've already mentioned that. This is very cool. I like the fact that there's just been a monster hidden in there. For people who don't know, the Chalice Dungeons are just kind of an endless, procedurally generated kind of grindy game that you can just go and jump in there and see what you can find, and it's a great way of progressing in the game without actually going through some of the the game's story areas. This is just another activity that you can do inside the game. So These players have just been diving in there every now and then to see what they can find. Turns out they found a monster in a game that no one's seen for 3 years maybe.
In other news this week, it may be a contentious candidate for Game of the Year, but there's already a whole bunch of accolades that PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds has already claimed. PUBG has reportedly claimed no fewer than 7 Guinness World Records in its 8 or so months on sale as an early access title. Most actively played game on Steam, surpassing 1.9 million concurrent players. Fastest time for a Steam early access video game to gross $100 million in revenue, which took 79 days. First non-Valve video game to be the most played on Steam. Fastest time for a Steam early access video game to sell 1 million units, which took 16 days. Most concurrent players for a Steam early access video game, which was 2.6 million. Most concurrent players on Steam for a non-Valve video game, which was again 2.6 million. The first video game to reach 2 million concurrent players on Steam.
It should be noted that Battlegrounds has, since these records were declared, hit 2.8 million concurrent players, so it's obviously still growing. Battlegrounds' smashing of the Guinness records was announced at the Golden Joysticks Awards last week, where it also picked up the PC Game of the Year and Best Multiplayer Game prizes. Battlegrounds core boss Chang Han Kim said, quote, "We are thrilled to be acknowledged by Guinness World Records for our momentum, massive growth, and more importantly, how engaged our fans have been with Battlegrounds."
Battlegrounds in the headlines again, breaking records this time. An early access game that's not even released. It's one of the most talked about games this year. Brendan Green said that he didn't think it's Game of the Year. A lot of our commenters agreed when we kind of brought up the fact in a video the other day. Like it or not, this game is breaking records, and a lot of people love it. So so there, stick that to you. Don't know what that means, but take it. At the very least, it beats Battlefront 2's world records, which are lowest user rating on Metacritic and the most disliked comments on Reddit ever. So, balls in your court, Battlefront.
Alright, so there were a few news stories there for you. What caught your eye in the news? Let us know down in the comments. Remember to like the video if you enjoyed it, and please do subscribe if you want to see more stuff like this every day. You can check out that video right there, right now if you want, and the link to Patreon if you want to support the channel. See you next time.